Hey everyone, it's January 15th, 2016, and you're listening to the On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. I'm Ray.
I'm Brittany.
I am Kyle.
So we are three coworkers who happen to love pro wrestling, and this podcast gives us a space to kind of shoot all aspects of our favorite pastimes without getting confused looks when we're sitting in the kitchen.
Yeah, the podcast is about giving you consistent, bite-sized commentary on the world of wrestling, focused primarily on WWE main roster and NXT, though we'll dip our toe into occasional other things like the Indies and International.
So every week we'll either recap the previous Raw or NXT or pay-per-view, takeover, whatever, or we'll do a roundtable discussion on a particular topic. So this is our first episode, and we thought we were going to do an episode introducing ourselves and, introducing, how we got into wrestling, but this has been...
Screw that.
Yeah, no, this has been a nuts couple weeks, so we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into doing a recap of the last couple weeks of Raw. Actually, this last week of Raw was huge, so probably just going to focus in on that. I think the biggest thing we talk about right now is Kalisto.
Yeah, so when it happened, how stunned were you? I was waiting for that shoulder to lift.
I was a little bit surprised, but I mean, honestly, the interview before made me think that it might happen. The interview with Renee Young, I'm like...
Yeah, I could see that in hindsight, but
I honestly didn't think it was going to happen because it's Raw. And how often does a title change happen on Raw? Which is part of the reason it was so surprising.
Yeah,
right?
I was happy surprised too. Not like that was a bad idea surprise. I was just like, man, that's great.
I think we all like Kalisto, and we've been waiting for this push. And it was inevitable, right? That's what happens when you get paired up with Sin Cara. He's eventually going to get hurt, whether it's old Sin Cara or new Sin Cara, and then Kalisto's going to get a solo push.
It's the drummer in Spinal Tap. He's going to die. Whoever's Sin Cara.
Yeah, I'm not fully over on... I love Kalisto in the ring. I totally think he still needs a little bit of work on the mic. He did good. He did really good on his interview with Renee Young. He really, he delivered. He was good, believable. But, I haven't felt like I liked... Kalisto. I haven't felt like I liked his personality. I love him in the ring, though. He's awesome in the ring.
Maybe this would be his chance. I mean, I feel like they didn't really give him any build-up, really, recently.
It's been really hard because he's been in the tag team division, and you're competing with people like the New Day, which is, the New Day, and then you've got the Dudleys.
Yeah.
They're trying to push the Usos on everyone again, which nobody cares. So the tag team division itself is kind of full, so having to push Kalisto and Sin Cara within that group, you're not going to get enough screen time to really build up either of those guys.
Yeah, they just seemed like the sort of generic good guy, technically entertaining wrestler types, right?
Yeah.
And that through that lens, it was to then see, all right, out of those two, we've always agreed that Kalisto's the more entertaining
absolutely.
one. And I just thought that this push would take a few episodes at least.
Yeah, it happened. It happened a week prior with SmackDown, and they had a match that nobody saw, and apparently Kalisto won. And then this match happened on Raw. I was like, wait, Kalisto has a title shot? I think that was the surprise. Was Kalisto had a title shot? As soon as they announced the title shot, I was like, oh, dude, he's getting it.
Really?
Yeah, for me, that's what it felt like.
Felt like it would be that formula, he's getting his little sort of token title shot. He'll put on a good show, kind of like every Neville match in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Put on a good show, basically he should win, and then he loses to the guy's finisher because he went for a red arrow. I thought they'd have the Kalisto version of that, and he'd be on his way.
Yeah, I love the ending of the match. It
was so good. That move where he does, where he rolls up, around his neck, and it's that shouldn't physically happen, right? Because Del Rio is 2 Kalistos tall.
Yeah.
So it's physically, you see him do it and you're like, whoa, what the hell? And that throws you off by itself. And then he gets the pin and you're like, what? Oh my God, it happened.
Yeah.
On Raw, freaking Kalisto, against Del Rio.
Yep. And that was my reaction too.
And I think that begs the question, what were they going to do with the title had Cena not gotten hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they go from here. Do they just, give it right back to Del Rio? And
I honestly think, the U.S. title should just always be openly defended on Raw.
Absolutely.
I think that's the way you keep that title.
Yeah, they've set that precedent.
They have with Cena, but then when Cena dropped it, that didn't keep up going for a while,
promo
right?
before he got hurt from the Raw before was, almost, too close to home. And he's, saying, it was great when I was champ because you got to see cool matches every week. And Del Rio just sits around and doesn't do anything. It's
It's like 2015 was the best year of my career, guys. Like, what the hell?
Real here, bro.
I honestly almost feel like the the WWE title should be defended every other pay-per-view to allow for the U.S. and the Intercontinental title to have some actual meaning.
It's kind of one of the problems with taking away one of the belts, right?
Yeah.
Is that all of a sudden there's now a division between the importance of the titles. That obviously there's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because it's a friggin' mouthful, and then the Intercontinental, which, you know, is great except when they put it on Ryback, and then the US, which was bad until Cena started having these excellent matches, right?
Yep.
And then the tag belt's kind of hit or miss depending on who they have them on. It depends on the scene, right? And without that other belt, it's like, how are you going to build up your mid card? But also on top of that, you know, it's I honestly think that's a good suggestion. Like every other pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It'll give you time to build some type of meaningful rivalry and story too.
Yeah.
So.
Kalisto, awesome match. I loved. I actually think Del Rio fucking killed on that match.
I'm so happy he's back.
Yeah,
I'm so happy he's back.
Roman, he's now over, which is kind of weird to me. I'm not huge on Roman, but I'm okay with this happening. Like I'm not.
I feel like in so far as like he paid his dues, you know, like they gave him like some heartbreaking losses that he had to stomach. He went through. He kept showing up, doing the thing, but like
he put in the time.
Yeah, he put in the time. I still feel like he could make a few tweaks and make himself like amazing.
Yeah.
But it's okay now. Like as I sort of felt it happening, I'm like, you know what? I don't hate this, and I can't complain.
I'm okay with the
anymore.
events that are occurring here.
Yeah.
He does need to cool it a little bit with the Superman punch. It's getting a little nuts.
When I say little tweaks, I mean get rid of Superman punch.
Yes.
And just
there you go.
Like if he just stole Luke Harper's powerbomb, complete with like the taunt and like sort of like, you know, making everyone know what's gonna happen, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Shield powerbomb was awesome.
I love his spear. I think his spear is fantastic, but like the Superman punch it's a punch in the face.
I honestly think all of the problems with Roman last year at the Royal Rumble, like him winning it, no one wanting him to win it, him not being Daniel Bryan, and then him getting the main event shot, are ultimately now helping him because there's been a year of people just like wanting him to not be good, right? But seeing the consistent work that he's put in, and then eventually they're just like, you know, if we put Vince on Raw, this is just gonna like fix itself, right? So they made the decision, put Vince on Raw, and then all of a sudden when you end up punching the chairman of the WWE, you get over with the crowd because nobody like doesn't like seeing Vince get punched in the face.
Beating up Triple H and then calling in Vince
right.
and then having him dispose Vince.
That's right. He's taking out everybody.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been actually a good run for him. So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you kind of wonder. We're not going to get into predictions. That's another show. But just looking forward, like, how far are they going to take him? What's going to go? Like, it's some interesting things to think about.
I think Roman would still do better if he had a valet, or not a valet, but more a manager.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Roman was doing, like, I started to get really, like, in on Roman when he was paired with Dean Ambrose.
He does good when he's paired, like, when he can bounce off somebody.
Yeah. Right, because I feel like otherwise he's just gonna, you know, call someone a little bitch and then, like, hope for the best, right? Yeah. But when he's got Dean Ambrose to play off of or somebody...
That was good.
When he's got Ambrose to play off of, then it's like, okay, well, now there's at least a dialogue there.
Oh, Ambrose in a lot of ways was carrying him, but still, they had a really good natural back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Well, they're friends. They have the history from back in NXT.
It almost makes me want, like, maybe that's how you bust up Heyman Lesnar, is like, you know, Heyman's like, I'm back in the new younger horse or whatever, and kind of turns on Lesnar. That would be kind of cool.
I don't know if he would pair well with Roman. Like I think Roman definitely needs a manager, but he needs he needs.
We want to pair well in terms of, like, if you're trying to build Roman as a guy on the mic, then giving Heyman's the worst because Heyman's is going to steal the show, right? Is that kind of what you mean?
That's part of the reason why, like,
but
Lesnar's
I mean, storyline-wise,
right?
I don't know. They could maybe find an interesting way to do that. But yeah, Lesnar, Heyman, they're great, but also we're kind of used to it. But then again, we get it in such small doses, we kind of don't mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I
don't know.
I thought it would be awesome if, and I don't ever see this happening because Corey Graves is definitely going to stay on the announcer table, but if Corey Graves became a manager.
Oh, man.
Because I feel like he's great on the mic. Yeah. He's an obvious heel. He knows how to play to the crowd. He makes fun of the things he's supposed to make fun of, unlike, you know, JBL.
Yeah.
Or like, and he stays affiliated with that heel side, right?
Yeah.
Like he's really, really good.
I agree. I think he'd be
And
fantastic.
he looks like someone I want to hate.
Yeah. Why don't we have more
Yeah.
managers on the roster anymore? Like, it's always female valets, but like, there was a time where like Bobby Heenan,
Whippleman, Cornette, all
yeah,
those guys.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like, this was important because like not all these big, huge guys could get on the mic.
Well, maybe that's partially they don't have enough for a 3-hour show. They don't have enough airtime to get everybody on, so they have to ram all into these factions, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how can you then have a manager on top of the fact? It's going to turn into the NWO where there's 20 people in the ring, and you never
Yeah.
see 12 of them wrestle ever, right?
Yeah,
So-
but I think it's important to recognize like when somebody can't talk, there needs to be like a Band-Aid there,
Yeah.
ready to like take on the responsibilities for some of these wrestlers.
He's gotten better at the talking though too.
Yes.
Like there's been a lot less sucker and succotash going on. So
Jack and the Beanstalk metaphors.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Well, and they got rid of Big Show, so that helps too.
he's over. It's happening. It's not just the kids and
Yeah.
the ladies. It's like almost everybody, and that's cool and
Yeah.
surprising. So we'll see where it goes, I guess.
Let's talk about Lesnar. Killed everybody, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way they wrote Paul and Lesnar in as like, no, we want the main event of WrestleMania. We don't care about Royal Rumble.
Right.
Like, we want the title shot. We want the prize event.
Right.
Like, we want that guaranteed. I love the way they played that out. 'Cause
Yeah, and
that's
it's been going for a year, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was unresolved after last WrestleMania. He was screwed.
Yeah.
He got himself suspended with that tirade, and then he got distracted with
Which
the whole.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, and then he got
I love
distracted with the whole Undertaker thing. So arguably, like, now that that's taken care of, like, he's been owed this for like over a year.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, this is technically like, does this count as a rematch clause? Like,
I don't know.
because-
It gets kind of weird.
because I feel like the one time he tried to enact it was the Monday after WrestleMania. He tried to go against Seth Rollins, and then
Yeah.
Seth Rollins,
Oh,
got
then-
out of it.
And then Seth Rollins and Lesnar did have a match.
Ah, that's
And
right.
then
like 2
Taker.
seconds. Yeah.
It was
And then-
Taker.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Taker. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, right, too, because we just talked about Roman being over, right?
Yeah.
So the matchup last year was the no one believes in me, nobody wants me there, Roman getting suplex city'd, like
Yeah.
coinage of that phrase by Lesnar, and Lesnar just destroying him en route to what was going to be like the easiest victory ever,
Yeah.
and then the Rollins thing happening, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now, if that match does happen, or whenever that showdown happens,
Yeah.
whether it's at the Rumble or not, or at WrestleMania, like, how does that go, you know?
Yeah.
I honestly would not be surprised if there ends up being a Lesnar-Roman rematch at WrestleMania.
But yeah, I mean, he's back. Obviously, it's the road to WrestleMania. He's on TV again. He'll be here until at least the Raw after WrestleMania and
Yeah,
maybe beyond.
for
So it's
sure.
cool to have Lesnar back on the
Oh,
map again,
definitely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And couldn't come too soon with all the injuries. So
Yeah,
Seriously.
Oh my God.
yeah. Well, I wonder, when do we get tired of this Lesnar angle? It's been about the same for a while. And yeah, we get it in doses because of the part-time contract, but at some point, it just happened one time you wake up, you realize, kind of had enough
It's
of this,
going to be
right?
after this WrestleMania,
You think?
I think everybody's... Like, it's just the same thing over and over again. It's like...
With Lesnar coming back and being
Yeah.
a badass and
Yeah.
unstoppable.
I mean, they
think
found
it's-
ways to have him lose, right?
Yeah, they
lose,
did. Like,
quote, unquote,
lose
but-
without making him seem insignificant.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's like he loses to The Undertaker, who is the Phenom, but The Undertaker kind of cheated also,
Yeah.
which is weird in its own way.
Right.
Or he lost at WrestleMania because of some stipulation that allows it to turn into a triple threat match.
Right.
Yes.
Like, he didn't lose because of his skill or his talent or any of that.
Right.
He lost because of other reasons. So he's still legitimized as a competitor.
Yeah.
Right.
So all the legitimacy that he got from, defeating The Undertaker is still there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's there for whoever is coming next, which I think is they're going to give it to Roman, and he's going to lose legitimately to Roman.
You think?
Or somebody else that they believe in.
I don't think they necessarily need to do that for Roman anymore. Like, if he still was on the fence of being over,
Well-
they might be like, oh, this will cement him,
Well-
right?
well-
Because once he loses, you get the Rusev factor, potentially, where you go from unstoppable, white-hot to,
Losing to Cena.
how do we
every
have
pay-per-view.
live in a post-Lesnar lost world, right?
Yeah, well, I think the big thing here is, like, you have this huge ball of power that was taken from The Undertaker, this legitimacy, and Lesnar used it to its full advantage. destroyed Cena, destroyed everybody else. Like, Lesnar's this unstoppable creature. He's not going to be on the roster all the time.
Right.
And he's not always going to be wrestling all the time. He needs to pass the torch.
He does. I mean, they've been doing a good job, too, of avoiding it, right? Like, he was suspended because he's such a crazy beast, he beat the crap out of employees, right? That was pretty well done, considering the options, right? But there's only so many ways you could put him on extended, layaway, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, and even then, I think the space and time between Lesnar appearances now is relatively short.
Yeah.
As it stands, I feel like if they did something where Lesnar loses, you can bring back the legitimacy by simply just keeping him away for a while.
Yeah.
Because if people simply forget about him, and then he
like
comes
a
back,
limo explosion, right? Or his version of it, right? Like
Right.
he gets no whole, like a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Well, they already did that, so they can't do that. Some form of thing where he
'cause
gets
they
ganged
never
up
ever
on.
repeat wrestling storylines.
Yeah. But I mean, you know what I mean. You got me there for sure. I give you that. But like, he'll have to get like injured, either in real life, hopefully not, or in story mode, right?
Just tear a rotator cuff.
Though maybe I wonder if they'd be gun shy to use an injury storyline now with all the real injuries going on.
You would never know. You would never know.
Jericho New Day.
So I'm happy Jericho's back.
So much.
I'm happy he's going to be in the Rumble. I always like the highlight reel because it's it's you see it with Miz TV, you see it with all of the other segments, right? It's kind of like calls back to that old times.
Yeah.
I feel like Jericho is defeated by the PG rating.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he has to hold back a little bit more.
A lot.
And the Rudy Tooty Booty thing is really, really dumb.
Yeah.
Like Rudy Tooty friggin' dumb.
Yeah.
And I mean, but part of that is like they're always going to come up with some catchphrase, right? Because they have to play to the crowd. But like the interesting one was, did you hear the comment about the Usos?
No.
So he calls them the Back of the Bus Brothers.
Yes.
That was a little odd.
Yes, my ears perked up in like that feels racist-y kind of way.
Yeah, like it feels racist, but then like I look up on the internet, which is a bad thing to do right after wrestling when there's, claims of racism. But the idea was that like he's talking about, Bowie, he's talking about Lemmy and all these rock star stuff, and like he is a legit rock star.
Okay.
So I'm thinking he means like the back of the party bus, because all of the like kids who party hang out in the back of the bus or whatever.
Right.
But it's kind of like be aware of like what context you're in right now and kind of how quickly people are to jump at things. I was really excited.
Injury desperation.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're pulling out the cards. They've got a bunch of wrestlers on speed dial and they're seeing who's going to pick up.
Yeah, and he like. I wonder if they're having him feud, quote unquote, with New Day because maybe Jericho feels like they're the only ones sort of good enough on the mic to rival him, or do they actually feel like the New Day needs help? Because like there are way more people that need the help of Jericho.
I don't
right?
think that they think the New Day needs help because the New Day got called out in the opening segment on
Like
Raw.
it feels like
right?
you're wasting your bullets by combining them. Was what I'm trying to say.
I think it's a way for them to potentially feature other people in the tag team division while keeping the New Day in the spotlight. Because they've realized the same thing that everyone else has realized, the New Day is the best thing on Raw right now. And it just makes you even more furious when the friggin' Usos come down the ramp in their slammies saying like, oh yeah, we're the best, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, nobody cares. You got the slammies for best tag team when you guys didn't even wrestle for the majority of the year.
Yeah.
I was pleased when they had an injury and were just gone for a while.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just in the same way that, like, you don't want anyone injured, but, the stale stuff of, like, 2014, like, I didn't want to see the Bellas anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to see the Usos anymore. I wanted to see some new teams roll in.
Yeah.
So it worked out. Now they're back. Those guys have been loyal for years. They want to repay them, give them airtime again. How do we handle this? So I agree with Brittany. I think she's, like, 100% on point. Like, keep New Day in because they're hot. But they gotta. Now there's too many tag teams almost.
Well,
right?
and on top of that, look how many tag teams are going to come up in NXT. Like, there's no room. Can you imagine like Cass and Enzo when they get to the main roster? Like, you can't have them competing with New Day.
Oh yeah.
It'll basically make the rest of the solo wrestlers look terrible because the tag team will be the only thing you want to tune into.
Yep.
Something else to comment on the Usos. So I didn't realize this because I don't regularly watch SmackDown, though I think I might start with the new announcer, is that whichever Uso wasn't hurt, Jimmy J, I can never tell the difference between the two.
No one knows.
No one knows. That's why they started wearing different colors. Whichever one wasn't hurt was actually a guest announcer on SmackDown for all summer.
Yep.
Which the times that I did turn into SmackDown made me immediately want to stop watching SmackDown.
Wow.
On top of that, they end up like kind of like pointing out references that are clearly not their references and kind of taking them. Like they kept saying like Super Kick Party, and it's like that is not your thing.
Yeah.
That is clearly the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
They are not in WWE. How dare you? And you look at the Young Bucks feed and they're like, hey guys, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like this is our thing, which makes me just hate the Usos even more, right?
Yeah. My biggest thing with the Usos is they need to differentiate them. Like they need to go singles. Like one needs to turn on the other so they can differentiate and be two different people. Like how do twins, like the Bellas, like they've differentiated them, which is good.
Both physically and personally.
Yeah, but with the Usos, I mean, like I literally don't know who is who, or if they have a different moveset. My guess is they're literally interchangeable, which is really crappy.
It's even harder with Naomi not with them, because at least you could anchor her to the one she's
whichever
married
one
to.
she was married to. So one thing that worked out well is so Blake and Murphy down in NXT. I can never tell the difference. I never know which one. I know one of them has a stupid hairstyle every time, but where they started to really click, in my opinion, is when they tied Alexis with them.
Yeah.
And that worked because it's like now they can totally be the same because they're just henchmen, right? Yeah. And it kind of legitimizes them a little bit because everybody likes Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa, are we still calling her Alexa Bliss? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Did they drop the last name?
They did.
I think so.
I think they did. I mean, she's not really like smiley anymore.
That's true.
She's red. She's evil. No longer blue and sweet and smiles and hugs. And
I love it. We gotta talk about Sting.
All right.
I'm so happy that they're not only putting him in the Hall of Fame, because I mean, it's about damn time. But on top of that, this pretty much says what we all knew all along.
He's done.
Yep. It's over.
it's a funny way to announce it.
Yeah,
It's like,
but
hey,
that's
we're
good.
putting him in the Hall of Fame because he's done.
Yeah.
And it's not like Hall of Fame wrestlers haven't come back to wrestle every now and then, but with the amount of injuries that are happening and how cautious they are of, you know, putting people in the spotlight when they shouldn't be, Daniel Bryan, that, I mean, they're definitely going to be cautious with this, and I think he's done.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a little bit of... Because I remember reading quotes from him right after the injury at Night of Champions, and it sounded like he's still... Like, he wasn't ruling out not wrestling anymore. He was just talking how it's a super long road to recovery.
Yeah.
And at his age and stuff.
Well, he's old.
Yeah,
He's like near
I kind
50.
of just wonder if this is their, like, subtle, like, hey, you're actually all the way done. Like, they're finishing it for him.
Like when football coaches quit or resign, and it's like, well, actually, we all know you got fired, but they're just letting you save face.
Yeah. Yes. Like, that just happened to my team. Yeah, I think it might be some of that. You know, he, especially if to them he was a little non-committal and was kind of making inferences like, hey, I might be ready for Mania, and they're like, actually, you'll be ready for Mania at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna feature you prominently the night before.
But all that aside,
Mania.
he definitely deserves it.
I think he does.
Absolutely.
And it's like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's almost like, kind of like he would have been in sooner if he stopped wrestling sooner.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Sting, unlike Hogan, like, his whole thing is he wanted to stay a good guy, but in order to stay a good guy, he changed his gimmick.
Yeah.
Which is something I think John Cena needs to learn from. It's like, you could still be like, you know, what's it called? Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
But just switch your gimmick.
I think...
That's a lot harder.
Yeah,
because
I think
kids
he
and
wants
cancer
to.
involved with that one, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be very cautious with that.
I think Cena wants to change his gimmick. I
don't think he
they
does.
just can't. Like,
I don't think he wants to change it. I think if he wanted to, he could totally do it. I think at this point in time, there's so many years have gone by. If he wanted to change his gimmick, he's so important to the company, they would have let him do it.
I think it's like very Hogan-esque. Like, he's got to realize the times have started to pass him by all the way.
Yeah.
I think like this confluence of events could maybe lead to it, right? Like they're fully handing everything over to, first it was Seth, now it's Roman, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's injured twice, right?
Yeah.
He's got to come back from that road to recovery. He's had to do the U.S. title for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Some of those were the best matches I've seen
Yeah,
last
but
year,
like-
like Cena Cesaro.
Yeah. Loved it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they sort of baited the hook on the U.S. thing from saying, hey, you'll get another title run after, but we really need you to put this belt over, right? Like, maybe all those things are what...
That's why he
Hogan
still has the 15-time shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to win the 16. They're not going to let friggin' Ric Flair run away with that.
It'd be pretty cool if he won it under, like, a different angle. I mean, Hogan did the NWO thing super late in his career after everyone thought he was done. Mm-hmm. So it'd be cool if he followed the same script. And they could point to that.
Either way...
They could say, hey, remember Redacted? Like, he did all that stuff.
Yeah.
Redacted.
Redacted, I love it. No, he has a choice. He can make a turn, and that's fine. Or he can stay a good guy, just change the gimmick.
Yeah, but that was super predicated on the way in which we started accepting sort of gray area archetypes as, like, faces, right?
Yeah.
Like, NWO was over because they were cool, but they were bad guys. Yeah. So that whole, like, thing happening is what enabled him to be a good guy in that totally different way, you know? Like, he couldn't just... If he just did that first, it would have been, holy crap, Sting went ape, and now he's flying around from the rafters like the Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I think he can do is be the anti-villain, which is basically what the New Day is.
Yeah.
Which is basically, I'm here to promote the power of positivity and hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Yeah.
And just keep, like, beating up the good guys. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what Angle did. Yeah. Angle was like the three eyes, and it's all good things, but he's still a jerk.
So I think going back to the Sting thing, I think it's really interesting the timing of it, right? Because the way leading up to WrestleMania last year, they were talking about Sting's history as a wrestler is how he was the franchise. He was the face of WCW, right? And then it's like he didn't wrestle for 14 years. Because we don't talk about that other promotion. And then he came back, and I think...
Even though we bought them.
No, it's like TNA.
TNA, right.
Yeah. It's like, no, they bought WCW, which is why it's fine. And like why he's getting in the Hall of Fame, even though he's technically only been with WWE proper for a year. It's like, that's the big thing, right? I think the reason he came back is because he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame, or someone wanted him in the Hall of Fame, and they needed to actually keep him in WWE. You can't have someone 100% who's just
agree. Like,
just
he needed
from
to
WCW.
sort of bend the knee one last time.
Yeah, it's like you gotta do what the boss wants you to do if you want this thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, can we do like a quick 1 minute Vince?
Yeah.
Because
we got time.
I just reminded that while he was in the ring talking about people's opportunities, they had everyone on the ramp, right?
Yeah.
He literally made the brass ring reference.
Oh my god!
Vince made the brass ring reference.
Oh my god, it was so good.
So yeah, Sting. Yeah, but just every time it comes out, it just makes me laugh because they refer to that and they talk about it. In
I just imagine like Vince
in
his PJs with like 2 fingers of scotch surfing like squared circle and just like laughing at everyone like that's not gonna happen.
You realize who I am? I can buy this subreddit. Yeah.
Why does Vince turn into Batman?
I don't know. I'm a little nasally. I'm just getting over from getting sick, so my Vince impression sounds more like Batman.
He gets pretty close.
Well, that's probably what he's doing backstage, right?
Yes. No, I 100% agree. Swear to me might actually be the thing he says, right? All right, Sting. Swear to me, and you're in the Hall of Fame.
That'll wrap it up for this week. If you like the podcast, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, at On The Heels WP, and then Facebook.com/OnTheHeelsWP.
So like us, follow us, and share us with all your wrestling buddies because no one else will appreciate us. Feel free to tweet or message us if you have suggestions or topics that we should hit, or if you want our opinions on any subject wrestling.
Sure, and you can catch us next week. We're going to discuss some Royal Rumble predictions. Thank you for listening to the On the Heels Wrestling Podcast, where we wonder the eternal question if one day Sheamus will connect with us as an audience.
I don't think so.
Nope. All right, cool.
Maybe. Luck of the Irish.
On the Heels Wrestling Podcast.